Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sentinel Stories. I am Miss Vester, and today's guest is Miss Huddleston. Hello, Miss Huddleston.
Hi.
How
I'm
are
so
you, my
happy to be here.
dear?
I am great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. We're gonna keep going here at the beginning of the year. Keep the momentum flowing with all this online fun. So what do you teach at Spanaway Lake High School, and how long have you been at the high school?
So I teach all the culinary classes. I teach culinary 1, 2, and 3. We just started 3 last year, actually in the third trimester. So I've only done it online, but hopefully this year we'll be able to do it in person. And then this is the start of my 5th year at Spanaway Lake. So
That's
just
exciting.
yeah, I really like this school a lot. I love being
Yeah.
here, and it's been really fun.
So culinary 1, 2, 3. So can you tell the audience a little bit about like 1, 2, 3, what that progression kind of looks like a little bit?
Yeah, so culinary 1 is just kind of intro. So we do a lot of food safety sanitation. We do like just kitchen basics, so measurements and appliances and different things like that. And then we do eggs and breakfast and fruits and vegetables, stock
Mm,
sauces. Yeah, like it's all kind of just like the basic level. If you want to cook for yourself, these are a few things to make sure that you can cook for yourself from scratch. And then 2, we get into baking, which is my favorite. And so we do a lot of baking. And for all the classes, you can get a college credit. And so the baking part of that
ooh,
class, you can get a college credit if you get a B or higher in the class,
that's
which is
nice.
cool. Yeah. And then culinary 3 is restaurant based. So that's a lot of like how restaurants run, front of the house, back of the house. And we do like a food truck challenge project and things like that.
That is so fun. I
Yeah,
love
it is.
that. Well, I know that sometimes you send emails out for, you guys do competitions and you send emails out to staff to be like, hey, I need some taste testers. And I always want to like say I can, and then the timing and the windows don't align. So hopefully, like when we're back in the building and there's an opportunity to be a taste tester, I'll be ready.
Yeah, that would be super awesome. We'd love to have you in there. And culinary 3, I plan on doing like kind of a restaurant in the classroom sort of setting. And then like I want teachers and people to come in and like be fully served. So like for the whole class period, students will be the front of the house, welcome
Oh,
them, and then seat
I'll be a
them, wait on
customer.
them.
Don't you
Yeah,
worry. Yeah. I
yeah,
got the class covered.
awesome.
I'm good. I used to work in restaurants. In college, I worked at a restaurant in the Cub. It was called the Regency Room, and that was my first waitressing job. Do you remember the Regency Room?
I don't think it was there anymore when I was there.
Oh, right.
Things
I
switch out
think,
a lot. Yeah,
yeah,
but
no, it did close soon
yeah.
after. And then I waited tables at the Rainforest Cafe at South Center Mall
Ooh,
when it was called South Center Mall. And so,
yeah.
yes, I'm very familiar with the restaurant and customer service. So I would love to be a customer for you
That
guys.
would be awesome. Yeah, yeah. I've mostly done back of the house, working as like a pastry chef and stuff in restaurants.
Oh
So
my gosh, so
yeah.
fun.
hmm
Let's see, what are you looking forward to this school year?
so we're starting online. So culinary online is just like, how do you do that? So it's
Right.
been really interesting, and it's been really fun to work with the other teachers in the district to try to just brainstorm and think about how we can do this online. And it's really kind of pushed us into a new direction. And it also has made me make like videos, YouTube videos for my students. And so there's like
Yes.
tutorials and things with me and them acting like my weird, goofy self, you know. And so it's made it so that I have other resources outside of just like what I have created for my classroom. But if like when we go back in person, I'll be able to post those videos and kids can go back and watch them over and over
So
again.
nice.
Yeah, so
So
a
you're
lot.
like creating a resource library, which you didn't necessarily have those video libraries before.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's that's great.
Yeah.
Um, so high school, where did you go to high school? And what are like some lessons that you learned? So whether it was good or bad experiences, what did you take away as like lessons learned?
So I went to school in Buckley, which is about 45 minutes from Spanaway,
Okay.
and it's like on the way up to Crystal Mountain. It's a small little town. It's growing a lot now,
Hmm.
and it's a lot more diverse now. But when I was there, it was not diverse at all, and I didn't really realize how not diverse it was because I lived in my own little bubble. But as I got older and went to college, and every step that I've taken in life has expanded my view of diversity. And and so yeah, that's looking back on that. That was like my start of my journey of that exploration.
Right.
But something that I learned a lot from high school was when I was there is to be involved. It was
Hmm.
really, really important to make sure that I was I played sports. I was involved in like school activities. I still have friends from high school, a couple friends from high school that are, like that solid knew me since I was like so young, and it's cool to look back now and find the friends that were my friends then, and we're still so like-minded now, and seeing how different the world is now, but we still have that same type of viewpoint, which is really cool.
Yeah. Those friendships are amazing because they just,
Yeah.
they knew you as this like younger being,
Yeah.
and then you kind of journey apart sometimes, or your lives continue to stay connected. I have, similar friends that I've known since elementary and junior high. They were junior highs and high school and college friends. And so, like, people, women, that I've known for like 30 years. And so to reflect back and have those stories, I like about being involved. I know that you have a class, so you have the culinary class, but don't isn't there another part of like after school something that was like culinary cooking? Is that FCCLA or is that something different?
So we do FCCLA is the club. I don't do a culinary club per
Right,
se, but there is culinary components to it.
right.
Um, but we haven't gotten really too much into that. But our club is community service. So we do a lot of community service events, and then we do competition too as well. So some of the projects that students will do, they can turn those
Hmm.
into projects and then present them and make it to state and even nationals. I've gone
Right.
students to
That's
nationals.
what I was thinking of, or
Yeah,
the competitions, right?
yeah, yeah. So I've gone. 2 years ago, we went to Anaheim, and then I
Hmm.
went to Atlanta 3 years ago, and it was such a cool experience to take students and
So
watch them
many
just
opportunities with that
grow.
program. I love it.
Yeah.
So any other lessons from high school that you feel like were good takeaways for you?
Um, Looking back now, I'm not
Yeah.
sure if I got these things like when I was in school, but looking back now, just learning to accept people for who they are and give yourself grace. Because
Mhm.
I remember feeling so embarrassed of so many different things in my life and so closed off in certain areas. And as you get older, you're like, that doesn't really matter. And who
Mhm.
cares what they think about that, and you'll find the people that will embrace that in your life.
Mhm.
And those are the people that you want to keep around, not the ones that want to say things that will hurt you. Because there were parts of high school, like if you look at me from the outside, I looked like I was involved and whatever, and well liked, but there was a part that I was kind of bullied in high school, and I have some traumatic memories of things that would happen, and um, in taking those and learning to just be my own person and not let those things bother me, definitely has helped me grow a lot, and also give grace to people a lot,
Yeah.
because I didn't kids, people just teenagers can be mean sometimes, and
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. I think especially, this time that we're living in 2020,
Mhm.
showing each other a lot of grace is critical.
Yeah.
Teenagers, staff to staff, community, like just finding understanding, showing each other grace. So I love that
Exactly.
lesson. So I'm going to jump in and ask you some more questions.
Okay.
Um, I love these questions because I interview um, the staff, and you have all different responses to the same question. So this is one of my favorite ones. An animal I am most like is.
So an animal that I most like is an otter. I love otters. They're my favorite animals to go see at the zoo
Mine
because
too.
they're so playful and like just happy and fun and just goofy. And my favorite fact about otters is they hold hands when they sleep so they don't drift apart from each other.
Oh my God, that's so cute.
And it's so just me, like
Yeah.
relationships and friendships are so important to me. And I may not always keep in touch with my friends all the time. Like my best friend lives in Bellingham and she wrote to me yesterday. I mean, it might be a month between when we see or write to each other and
Right.
or see each other. And but it doesn't matter because like she's still like that person that I still hold on to, you know?
Mhm.
And yeah, I love that otters are playful, but they also will work and do things like get things done, the things they get done,
Mhm.
but they they don't forget about the fun parts of life.
So cute. I love that. Um, I am talented at.
I I'm a very body kinesthetic and tactile person. So the thought of sitting behind a computer all day every day is just like gives me anxiety. And so this online learning, like it's I'm teaching myself how to continue to move and work with my hands and whatnot. And so I really like to make things. My best things that I created throughout school and whatnot were always hands-on, creating like 3D projects or whatnot. And that's why I love cooking so much, is that I get to make stuff, I get to touch the food, I get to be a part of the food. I just like to be a like with something, you know, become one with whatever I'm creating.
Right.
I feel like there's a deep connection for me when I do that.
And you are so creative. I so one of my first experiences with you a few years, well, when I started, it was my first year, was tie dye. When you guys had like a little tie dye sesh in your culinary
Uh-huh.
area, you were like the tie dye queen.
Oh, thank you.
You make the best tie dye. I really, I need to figure out what all your tips and tricks are because I would probably live in some beautifully colored t-shirts. I mean, whatever it is. But that was a really fun experience. So I saw how you were engaging and leading the staff in that instruction and the energy that you were showing. I loved it. So being in your space and me learning something new, I felt very safe because you were kind of in your joy and your
Mhm.
groove. And so I was definitely picking up those vibes. And so I always appreciate that energy
Oh,
that you give with those. So
thank you. Yeah, no, I love, like, I can't imagine, like, for me, teaching something that's not tangible is really, really hard and it's
mhm.
really dry. But as soon as I get to be a part of it, I feel like that brings the light out in me and I just get
Yes,
so excited. Yeah.
I love that you found the perfect job.
Right.
I accept others' differences by.
I love to learn about people. Uh, People are fascinating to me. My major was human development, and my first major was hospitality business management. And so, like, it has that connection to food. But I realized I hated business, so that was a no go. And then I switched my major, and my whole world changed. I went
Mm,
from like stressed and hating accounting and hating all these things that like just didn't make sense to me to like all of a sudden I can apply these things and understand these things about the people around me. And so when I travel for culture and for food, and I just want to immerse myself and find like the little nooks and crannies of areas that are like locals will go to. I wanted to
mhm.
understand how somebody lives, how somebody functions. And so in my class, I try to embrace that culture differences by giving students a voice and giving them an opportunity to share food from their own life. And food tends to be a safe area for a lot of
Mm,
people to be able to
right.
share and connect with. And so they bring in this food and then they share about why they would use that food or when they would make that food and what relevance does it have in their culture. And it's a really great way for them to learn about one another. And then I have an opportunity to learn about them and their culture as well too.
Right.
And it's it's my favorite part of my class. It is so much fun and it really like bonds a group together. The deeper
Right.
you dig, the more you learn about somebody. you see the differences, but you also see the similarities that make us human.
Hmm. Food, sitting around the table and sharing food together, it just naturally, for most people, it kind of is a comfort. And then you tend to be a little more vulnerable and kind of sharing your story sometimes, getting to know people. It just kind of has
Mhm.
this kind of centralized feeling, food and just breaking bread together. I love that.
Yeah, it brings out wonderful memories of life and just connection to humans. That-
Right.
To me, that's the most important part of life, is just this connection that we should have with one another.
And so, we're talking about this and how like meaningful it is. And then I think of, some of our families that have, food insecurities. And, that's why we wanted to have the Sentinel Resource Center. We want families to be able to access a lot of different things. And, we're trying to bring in fresh food and try to find people that have fresh food as well, just so
Mhm.
that they can be more connected to those experiences. Because, sometimes cooking and having all of the things, all the different things to make recipes is a lot of work. So that's, that might be a fun little um, community kind of project that we'll talk after
Yeah,
this interview about this.
yeah, I
Um,
like that.
when I'm afraid,
This is not my favorite quality of myself, but so they have the flight, fight, or freeze in your amygdala, part of the brain that's like your animal brain. And my reaction is almost always to shut down, to freeze. And
Mhm.
not, yeah, it's almost always, not always. And it's really frustrating for me because, like, I have all these things going on in my head, but I physically can't get myself to move
Mhm.
if I haven't practiced it before. And so
Right.
as a teacher, I really try to practice different things and try to get myself to experience as much as I can, but you can't always experience everything. But luckily, after 15 years of teaching, or 14 years, starting my 15th year, um, I have seen a lot of things. And so it has helped me not freeze nearly as much and be able to problem solve in those situations. But I do remember a time where I was at a conference for FCCLA, and there was a girl sitting in the front row right in front of me, and she stood up and she looked like she was dancing strangely, but she was having a grand mal seizure.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, it was super intense. And then she fell over on her side, and I had so weird. I had a sucker in my hand, and in my head, I'm like, I can't put the sucker down because the sucker is going to get all over everything. And like, that's all I could think about, of like not helping her. But then like, but I'm like, but she needs to be on her side. And like all of like the medical things that I know were like in there, but I like couldn't physically get myself to do it. So I got myself to tell people. And so I started like telling, like, hey, she needs to do this and you need this and blah, blah, blah. And then like everything worked out fine, but like I physically could not move. It was so strange. But I was grateful that like I at least could start telling people what to do, and
Right.
at least I have that.
Yeah, your voice, very
Yeah.
important to have a voice. And we always, in those situations, people react and respond totally different. And
Hmm.
a lot of people might freeze in those types of responses. I am, like you, and like I can probably say and the doing part. But if we're not exposed to those experiences, you said it just a little bit ago, it's like you can't practice being in those experiences of being afraid,
No. Hmm.
because you're not necessarily exposed to them all the time. And so, you've had that one experience with somebody with the seizure. And so maybe if that comes, hopefully it does not present
Yeah.
itself to you, but if it does, then like the physical response might be a little different. But yeah.
Yeah.
um when a friend is hurting,
Um, I claim myself as an empath, and so I really feel, well, when people come into a room, I can feel their energy, and when I can feel that one of my friends is hurting, I really try to check in on them. I really try to make sure that they're doing okay. And I know a lot of times when someone's like really hurting, they don't want to talk about it in that moment. And so just like leaving that open, being like, hey, you know, like give me a call. It doesn't matter what time. Like I'm here for you. And I want to make sure that they feel the love, even though they're not ready to fully receive the love.
Mhm.
Because that's what I need as well too. Is like I need people just doing a quick check-in on me when I'm not feeling great. And I mean, I've been through some stuff and have had friends do that for me. And to me, that's really the most valuable is
Yeah,
just, hey, how you doing?
right. Just the quick check-in.
Hmm.
When I am teased by others,
So my whole childhood, when I was younger, I feel everything. So I cry really easily. And so when I was teased by others, when I was a kid, that was probably why I got bullied more is I would cry really easily. And as I got older, and that one wonderful thing that my mom taught me was if I learned to laugh about it, and especially laugh about it first, then they don't have the power anymore. So I've learned to
right,
laugh. And so when people make fun of me or whatever, if I laugh about it, then it diffuses the whole thing. And then it's not gonna grow into something bigger than what it needs to be.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
you've taken away their power to upset you or disturb your happiness or whatever that is. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
I am creative when
I'm creative when I have an opportunity to like I have like a little bit of parameters around me, but then like everything else is set free. So like, okay, I want you to create this one thing, but you can make it with whatever you want, you know. Some way for me to like have my base, have my like, okay, this is where I'm coming from, and then just explore from there. And then
Mhm.
also for me being creative, being around other people that are creative as well too. I love building off of other people. Relationships are, you know, like I've said multiple times, relationships are the most important thing in my life. And so having those types of people around me that help me be a better me really just strengthen me. And I think my very first teaching job was my first like aha of that, where I helped make that me and my students made the school lunch for the entire district. We were the lunch program. So
Wow.
yeah, and it was really cool. It was super fun and I loved it. I left because I needed to go do other things in my life first before I like settled down into teaching. But that staff was incredible. They had all these wonderful ideas and they would come to me. And so like I worked at the high school and middle school, and the middle school teachers had a medieval um, no, they had a Renaissance fair because they did medieval and Renaissance. And so they had a Renaissance fair and they're like, can you make the food for it? We're going to have all the kids are going to be doing all these projects. And I'm like, okay. And so they're like, here's a cookbook of like some ideas. And here's a couple students that you've worked with before. And we just made this huge meal and we used pizza crusts as their like chargers, as their plates. And we've like made all this amazing food and like they're eating their bread and on top of,
I
you
love that.
know,
That's so fun.
and it was like one of the most like creative and fun experiences because everyone is being creative and everyone is so excited about it. And it was super fun and just like letting me just go, you know, not giving me a little bit of parameters and then
And then
not pushing me down.
I
Yeah.
love that because then you can leverage your strengths.
Yeah.
So, that's when people have just those parameters so that you can stay true to what the vision is because they have this
Mhm.
vision of what they want it to look like and they express that to you. But then for them to like not micromanage it, then
Mhm.
you can let your full creativity out. But also those little insecurities of like, oh, like, did I follow this specific direction that they gave me right?
Mhm.
Like, is it going to look exactly how they wanted it to look? But they gave you full license to just go for it. And so I think that's when the best work happens is when we tap into everybody's strengths for sure.
Yeah, I definitely shut down when I micromanage because in my brain, if okay, you're giving me too much stuff to have to think about for this, then I don't know if I can do this. And then I second guess myself a lot more. So like giving that like total creative freedom, I've come up with my best things I've ever come up with and I love that.
I love that too.
Mhm.
I am helpful to my family when.
I'm helpful to my family when they're in need. I consider, because I grew up with a small family. Both my parents, they're from the Midwest, and so we've had a few family members live here or there, but like never been really like super integrated with them.
Mhm.
And so I consider like my friends, my family, because um, they're the ones that stuck by me and have been there in the hard times.
Right.
And so anytime that any of my friends ask me for help on something, like if I can, if it's possible, I will drop things and I will go and help them. And I'm willing to, like, just help them go pick up something or let them borrow my car. Or my dad passed away. It'll be 2 years in October from brain cancer. And I remember my mom calling me in the middle of the night because he was going to the hospital and from his first seizure, finding out about everything. And I remember like thinking, I'm like, okay, what do I do? Because I'm like half asleep. And then all of a sudden I'm like, why am I not getting up right now? I'm like, I got to get up and got to go to the hospital.
Mhm.
And I had to go to work the next day, but it didn't matter. Like my mom needed me, my dad needed me. I can work with 2 hours of sleep. It doesn't matter. Like
Right.
this is family. Family's first. Family needs to be taken care of, and then I'll deal with everything else after that.
Yeah. Um, I, having our immediate family and then having our extended family, like our friends, it's so critical. And in society, I think sometimes we keep it with our immediate family and just kind of that individualistic mentality
Mhm.
um, of you know doing things to kind of elevate yourself and your standing. um, but I just found so much joy, so much power, so much strength in reaching out as much as I can because I'm an only child, but I consider myself like I have a ton of sisters,
Mhm.
um, just because they've done exactly like you did, for your family. They drop everything. I
Mhm.
mean, if I send a text message in the middle of the night and somebody receives it, and if I say I need somebody, somebody would literally drive however long to be here.
Yeah.
And so it takes a while to kind of find those relationships and those friendships, but once you find them, you have to, cultivate them and nurture them, and keep them strong because
Mm.
you just don't know when those tough times will come. And having a backup plan, I'm a single mom, so having a backup plan for anything that comes.
Mhm.
um, you have like five different people, like plan A, plan
Yeah.
B, and we just need to do that. It's good. I love community. Community is so important.
Yeah. I can't imagine my life without having a community. Like I
Yeah.
would feel so alone. And I have had that in my life before. I have
Hmm.
been alone, and it's just now like I have so many people that I can call, and it's
Yeah.
nice.
But it's so it's like we can
Mhm.
decide to be kind of separated from people, or we
Mhm.
can decide to be a little vulnerable and engage and kind of learn who we can be friends, like have those
Yeah.
long-term friends with. So it is a little bit of risk taking for people to find those relationships, but once you do find those friendships, those long lasting ones, it's worth $1 million. I mean, there's no
Yeah.
value actually, but
No.
I was just gonna throw out $1 million, $1 million. But let's see. I can make a difference by.
I can make a difference by using my voice and responding with kindness and everything. Um, I it, I've had a lot of privilege in my life. I grew up with two parents that loved me and wanted me, and in a stable home, and like I can't even tell you the support that I had from my parents, to the point where like I was changing sports that I would play because I felt like my dad was coming to too much of my stuff. Just absurd to think about now, but like, so I look at that like my childhood, and I have like these wonderful parents that were there to help me out. Not all kids have that. And so I am there to be a voice. I am a white female that has great people around me, great support, and has had the opportunity to learn all these incredible things that if I can't get an answer for you, I can go find an answer for you. If you don't have a voice, I will be your voice for you. And especially with like, well, since I think 2012, 13 was when Black Lives Matter started. And then since May 25th, with the huge push now, I really have been trying to learn as much as I can, and just educate myself so I can be that voice, and do it with kindness, and show that you know, everyone is important and everyone deserves a voice. Everyone deserves a place at the table to be a human being and to be treated that way.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate your voice. I know that we've talked, and we're both kind of being empowered to use our voice more. And like you said, with kindness,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we can approach difficult and challenging topics with kindness and grace. As you said before, grace is always very important when having these discussions. But you know, we want our students to speak up and share their voice with us. You and I, and there's multiple teachers, and even our principal, very like open door. Please talk, please share the things. If I've made mistakes, I want to learn and grow from them. You know, I need to make sure that you know, I'm not causing harm. So I try to create as many open lines of communication with students as possible, just so that they know that I'm still learning and growing myself.
Yeah.
At 43, I still have lots and lots of lessons to learn. And though we've been in education for, you know, 15 years for you, 14 years for me, that the teenagers in front of us, it's a different generation of teenagers than the kids that we've engaged with at the start of our careers. And so I think that's also understanding like their history and their timelines and how they're growing up. We have to ebb and flow with their journeys as much as we have to ebb and flow with our own journeys as educators.
Definitely.
So any closing thoughts that you have at all?
This is such a strange time, and I have had my roller coaster of a journey throughout this experience since March until now. And as we've talked about, like, grace is the most important thing right now. And I feel like as everyone is getting like more and more like frustrated that we don't get to go out as much, and because of all of the social justice movements that have been going forward and everything, and whatever side you stand on, like there's just a lot of tension, and giving people grace and love and respect is really important. And it's something that I've been really working on, and trying to listen to people as much as possible, understand where they're coming from, meeting them where they are, and not shutting them off to what I have to say. And they may, you know, like I can't control that, but what I can do is to do this, to act in kindness as much as possible, and lead by example, because that's what I hope everyone does. Because I have a lot of friends that don't agree with me completely, but at the same time, we can sit and have a civil conversation about tough things. And I think that we need to learn how to have tough conversations and still respect one another, because we're not going to learn unless we actually listen to one another.
Definitely.
And
I appreciate your time.
Right,
oh,
hold on. Yeah, I want to bring
name. Oh.
Yeah.
Time.
This is Fly.
Oh, Fly.
Want to say hi,
Fly?
Look, buddy.
Hi, bud. Oh my gosh.
Being camera shy. Oh.
Okay, so adorable. Fly. How did you come up with the name Fly?
So the movie Babe was one of my mom's favorite movies when I was a kid, and it's the movie where a pig thinks he's a sheepdog, and so he's an Australian Shepherd, but the actual dogs in that movie are what are they? Border Collies, and the female he's a boy, but the female's name's Fly, and he looks so much like her. And
Oh
when he
God.
runs, he looks like he's flying. It's crazy. He's so fast.
With all of his hair, I bet.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's a good boy.
I always appreciate, working with you, being in your space, we've gone on a hike
Yeah,
together. That was so much fun. We
we
did
did
a
that walk.
race last year
That too.
together,
Yeah.
Rainier to Ruston,
Mhm.
with your sister and her coworker and some of my
Fun.
childhood friends. That was a journey for me because I'm not a runner, and
It was so hard.
I was so scared to do it, but to come together as a group of five, six, was it five?
There was 6 of us because there was
Six of
12
us.
legs. Yeah. Hmm.
Oh my gosh. All day journey, but it was a ride, and I felt so empowered, but it
Good. Yeah,
definitely
me
came
too.
through. Like you cooked treats for us, you and your sister, some energy bites, and so you got that creativity going, and
It's my
all
love
of that.
language. I have to cook for people.
You cooked, and it definitely it fueled me, literally fueled me for the race.
Oh,
So I appreciate us getting to know each other more and where we're at. We have a lot of things in common, and I feel very strongly that our journeys will parallel for like a really long time. So I appreciate your
I
time, Miss
agree.
Huddleston.
Yes, thank you
Definitely.
so much for having me on. I really appreciate it as well
Of
too. This is fun.
course. All right. See you soon.